Welcome back, my Italian car-loving friends. In this episode, join me as I attempt to save another Italian gem from the scrap heap. Yep, we're jumping straight back into it as I am inclined to do. And at the end of the last video, you would have seen me opening a very special box, which was the ECU from Italy. Now, spoiler alert, I've already fitted it, and the next couple of videos that ensue will tell you how that went, but it went pretty good. Wow, has anyone else noticed how big my beard's getting? Getting the old grey in there. Might have to sort that out. Right, so first things first, it says we need to do a diagnostic, clear the codes, don't start the car yet. So I'm going to do that. You can't see the screen. Trust me. I am doing what it told me to do. There you go, look. Chug, 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 chug. That's what I like to see. No error code. So now, I can turn the ignition off and I can start the car. So let me just check my little instructions, and if that's the case, then we can do it. Man, I haven't been this nervous for a long time doing a car. It's kind of weird. Well, it started and it's idling pretty well. Now there is one thing I need to do. The engine light is flashing, and it said if the engine light flashes, then it needs the timing or the crank sensor to be like recalibrated. So I've now got to leave it till it warms up when the fan kicks in, and then I've got to do 3 revs to 5,000 revs for 2 seconds at a time. But I mean, this is promising. If anyone ever tells you that forums aren't useful or weren't useful and are still useful, they're lying. Because I managed to find a forum post that told me about resetting this, resetting the ECU, redoing the config on it. Read it, made way more sense than the Italian translated instructions that I had. I've come out here, and you will notice that there is no flashing engine light because it worked. So, just for anybody else ever needs to do this, if you have a Seicento and the engine light is flashing after you either replace the ECU like I have or put a new crank sensor on it, you need to basically do like a trigger wheel reset. So what you do, disconnect your ECU for about 15 minutes to reset it, connect it back up, start your car. Do not touch anything. I think my mistake was I accidentally revved it and I didn't do it very well. Leave it till it gets hot enough for the fans to kick in, then get in, and rather than trying to get it to 5,000 revs, which is what the instructions were that I had, just floor it. Foot to the floor till the revs go all the way up and then come straight off it instantly. So don't have to hold it or anything, just whap, let it drop down, leave it a couple of seconds, do another full throttle accelerate, back down again, and then do the third one. And as the revs came down, stopped at 1,000, light went off. So it's now got all its config. So not only now has my ECU fixed the problem, I've now recalibrated it, the cooling fan's kicked in again and it's cooling down lovely. It runs like a peach. It's honestly like a little Italian pocket watch. So that's it. I've just jumped on eBay. I've got the rocker cover in my basket already. I think I've tracked down an exhaust I think is going to be to replace enough of it, because I said it's pretty ropey. I'll wait for those to turn up. We'll fit them. This is turning out to be a very good deal, I have to be honest. I have to be honest with you. I am a very happy man. I did not expect that to work. I was a little bit worried. Anyway, enough of all this talking stuff. Let's order some parts on eBay, wait for them to get here, fit them, fix them, MOT it, sell it, do some stuff. So I've been banging on about it intermittently through the whole last video about every time once I fix the ECU, we'll do the other problems. But now we're at that point. ECU is done. So next up, rocket gasket. This is dead easy. Anyone who's ever done one will tell you it's easy, but it's really satisfying because then no more oil leaks to make your engine look like it's falling apart when it's actually not. So I've got the part, I've got the spanner. Let's do it. Now, really, I'm being a bit old school because really it's a cam cover, because this is an overhead cam engine, so the cam's in there. So obviously it's a cam cover gasket, not a rocker gasket, because that's on things like, wow, the 899, because this doesn't have a cam. It doesn't have a cam at the top, it has it at the bottom, same as minis and stuff like that. So at the top, all they've got is the rocker assembly, but you knew what I meant. Now again, it looks a bit more complicated on these ones because you've got the extra fuel rails and all the injector wiring and stuff, but it's just basically unclips a little bit and you can move it back. And it's just these 10mm bolts, 2 on there, which actually hold this mechanism in, because again, when this was old, you used to have a dizzy on this side, a distributor, which obviously you can do if you ever decide to go for carbs. A couple more that side, put it off. And obviously, because this is a later model, these have a cam timing sensor on it, so you have to remove that as well. Easy peasy. It's a little bit annoying actually, because I've had a crinkle black cam cover sat on my shelf for months with no use for it whatsoever, and I can't use it because it doesn't have a cam sensor on it. Boo. Well, this is all looking as nice as I would expect. There is no wear or anything on any of the cams or anything like that. It's all looking clean, nothing to worry about. I wasn't expecting there to be. Like I said before, you can see clearly here, look, 4 bolts either end. And then what you do need to do as well is obviously this plastic timing belt cover. It bolts just there with a 10mm, and then just on this side, just through there with a 10mm as well. Now, I must admit, I forgot, and I always do it. I always think I have to undo these as part of it, but that is actually just what holds this whole assembly in. So you haven't even got to touch that. So I've given it all a clean up. It's just wiped clean. Thankfully, it's not all scored or anything horrible. For some reason, they had actually put like a sealant over this end, which it shouldn't need. So I feel like this has come off at some point, and then somebody's put some sealant on and put it back on, which is why it's actually been leaking. The original one's a little bit on the hard side, like it starts to get a bit brittle. When you get them, they should be nice and soft. And here it is. So again, wow, it's a bit bright on this side, but I said, you have to take my word for it. It doesn't look in bad shape. When you touch it, it's rock hard. So it's been on there for a while. So I've got a new one on the way. It's about £5. And this, for those of you who've never seen one, this is that cam sensor. So this just literally sits above the main cam wheel and just takes a reading off it. I mean, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm assuming it's for emissions rather than for performance, because they have exactly the same amount of horsepower. So I imagine it just makes it more efficient. Bada bing, bada boom. Now that was as easy as I made it out to be. 4 bolts back in, 2 bolts on the side, breather pipe, air filter, done. Now, quick top tip, because you know I like to give you these. When you get these rocker gaskets in the post, they near enough always fold them over now, just to make it into, excuse me, into a smaller package. It tends to mean they're a bit twisted and crumpled up. So if it's a nice hot day like it has been, just leave it out in the sun for like half an hour. It will settle back down into its like normal state, be a little bit more pliable. So when you push it into the rocker cover, it's a little bit easier. Or you just put it on the floor, give it a quick heat up with a hairdryer or a heat gun. It just helps it kind of sit in there a little bit more sensibly. And remember, there is a torque setting for bolting this down, and it isn't very tight. Now, I don't torque these just because I've done it so many times. You risk doing it up too tight and it actually won't seal, and you'll split it and all kinds of things. So don't go nuts. It is very much a lightly hand tight for all the bolts. So now that everything engine related is done, I do need to just double check on the cam belt. I think it was only done like maybe 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, something like that. So I will double check that just to make sure that doesn't need doing, because that'll help with the sale. I'm going to get outside, set the camera up, give it a proper wash, and in the light of day, you're going to be able to see this one a lot better than obviously the slightly ropey camera angles we got in the last one. And then check the exhaust out. I need to look at it properly, because there is a risk I'm either going to buy just the silencer and it needs the middle bit as well, or I'm going to buy stuff that it doesn't need. So we'll do that at the same time. So we've only got a few more minutes of this episode before the car is finished, and then you'll see me driving off into the sunset for the MOT. Fingers crossed. Now you're going to have to wait till the end of the video to see this car in all its glory, but take it from me, and you could probably see this. I don't know how this car's so clean. I don't know if my man got it detailed or he's had it ceramic coated or something, but it is ridiculous. But that is not what we're doing next. You will also notice that the car is now facing the wrong way. So we're now facing this way. So I need to push it back right up to the door so I've got plenty of space, because the last job to tackle on this car, fingers crossed, is the exhaust. Now it looks pretty ropey from here, but I don't know if it's savable, either of the two. We might be able to fix it up, might only need a back box, might be able to patch it, I don't know. But either way, it looks terrible, as you will see. Look at this old thing. For some reason, considering the condition of the rest of the car, this bit looks like it's been under the ocean. But we'll have a look. We'll see what we're dealing with. So, strap yourselves in for the final part of the fixing the scrap heap destined Seicento before we go for an MOT. Let's go. And that's the rear of the car up in the air. It reminded me of a little bit of a song. Face down, bum up, that's the way I like to fix Fiats. Is that the lyrics? I don't know, there might be the PG version of it anyway. But yeah, I seem to spend a lot of time with the bum end of my Fiats up in the air while I'm underneath them trying to fix things with my long old arms and legs. A set of quick jacks would not go amiss, but you know, in keeping with my budget run up to these kind of things, splashing £1,000 on a set of quick jacks probably isn't the way to go. So less talking. I'm going to grab a hammer and a light. I'm going to go underneath here and see if we can fix this old ropey exhaust. Right, it is never easy to video underneath a car, especially not with this lighting. Now, actually, I was probably being a little bit cruel about this exhaust because apart from a tiny little patch here, which somebody's put some putty on, this whole back bit actually looks all right. Now, and I will be honest, it's not the best looking thing ever, but likewise, there is a patch that somebody's put on here with a little bit of gum and stuff, but actually, apart from the actual tip of the exhaust itself, which looks absolutely appalling, I think I could probably get away with this. I might even just see if I can touch this up, or like I said, just go for the back box. So I don't think that whole front bit there has got any problems at all. It'll just be whether this join's okay. So yeah, I'm going to sit back a minute, see whether I think I can save this bad boy rather than wasting money. Now, one thing I have noticed is, apart from like the normal surface rust you get on the beam, but so apart from that, one thing I did notice is that the bumper brackets on these, like with any small Fiat like this, Cinquecento or Seicento, are getting a bit rough. Now, annoyingly, these are actually welded to the chassis, so you can't just take them off and do it. So I'll have to do it on the car. They're looking a bit scabby, but they're not so bad that I can't save them. So I'll wire brush them off, spray them with some special rust primer and the other stone chip. That'll just keep them going. They're not important to the car in any shape or form. Even without them on there, your bumper will still stay on, so it's all right. And then just the chassis rails just above it. The stone chip is just starting to flake and peel around where the little drain holes are. I don't want the MOT man trying to stick me with advisories on surface rust and stuff like that. I want it to try and pass as cleanly as I can. So again, same treatment as I did with the back arch. It was starting to get a bit of surface rust up in the bottom. Wire brush attachment on the drill. Just go crazy with it. Make sure you get as much off as you can. Leave a little bit of surface rust on there. Then the rust proof primer again and the stone chip on that. So I'll do that when I'm not wearing a jumper that I actually care about. Yeah, I'll report back on the exhaust, but at the moment at least, I might be able to just tidy that up a little bit, but we'll see. I don't want to bodge things. Oh, and obviously it's only rust dust, but it's still best not to breathe this stuff in. And I've got me a new mask for it. Ready? Who doesn't love Crash Bandicoot? There you go, and here's the key when you're doing this kind of thing. Even though you've got surface rust dust on this bit here, don't just grind it back to the edge of the underseal. Just sort of feather the edge and just get that little bit of clean rust, or clean metal all the way around the outside. So obviously when you treat it and you rust proof it, you're not leaving loads of rust sat underneath the actual underseal itself. I will try and get some inside here as well, but I've got some LiQWYD stuff. You've seen me use this in the previous video, that kind of sheep oil. So I will LiQWYD all this and all the suspension components and stuff afterwards, because it just makes it look way better. It just stops that from rust anymore. So that is pretty much good to go. So I'm going to do the other side, do it all in one go, and then I'll prime it. I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'll do the underseal, and we'll have a look what it looks like at the end. There you go, that's still got to dry, but that'll do its job. There's a couple of layers on there just to be sure. I've done it all round up in the inside of this bit as well. Don't worry about this overspray, because obviously this is all metal. So I have just sort of overlapped it a little bit. Try not to get it on any of the bumper and stuff, because it just looks rubbish. So I'll just put a piece of card in like this. I'll let that dry. I think it's at least an hour or so before I can actually put an overcoat over the top of it, but I will double check that. But that gives me time to do the other side as well. There you go, this side is even better. This is very, very much light surface rust. So again, same area up there. I've just given it a wire brush and a tiny little bit of a scrape off with a screwdriver. So I'll just get the electric sander, just fray all those edges up, make sure I've got to the actual edge. Then we'll chuck some primer on this side as well. Well, I was wildly off. It's not 1 hour, it's actually 6. So I'll be doing the rest of this tomorrow. I'll see you then. Well, true to my word, it's the next day and I am facing the ceiling again. Now, if you just have a little look in here, you should just about be able to see what I've done. If I can just move the light. There we go. It's not ideal, but I've just put another coat on it. So I did one this morning, let it dry for a little bit, and I've just done another one. So hopefully you can agree. I'm going to try and get a little bit inside that box section as well, that is significantly better than it was. If I could get this side as well. Ooh. There you go. Man, that's not a good shot, but you get the point. And it should all hopefully mean that the new owner of this car hasn't got to worry about the back end of this for quite a while, because I just sorted it all for him, because, you know, I'm a nice chap like that. And it's another morning out here at 1 Ounce HQ, otherwise known as my garage, and it's all going very well. All the underseal's dried. I actually came out and LiQWYDed it yesterday. That takes a little while for it to soak in, because to start with it just looks wet and oily and rubbish, but after a little while it soaks in, makes everything look all nice and dark. You can see it's neutralized all the rust and stuff, or at least got behind it, so it won't rust as fast / at all while it's on there. So that looks way better. I know it's not my car, I know I'm selling it. I would just prefer that, one, when it goes to an MOT it looks good, and two, when somebody comes to view it, they can tell that I've done all this stuff properly. Now, there was a couple other little areas that I found very similar to these back corners, if anything less bad, as in they were very, very much light surface rust. One just in front of the wheel arch here, just up in the floor, and one just in the sill. Exact same process, did all that while I was in there. Again, just because I knew it was there. I don't want it picking up on the MOT. I don't want it to be another thing that somebody else has to worry about in the future, because the whole point is we're trying to bring this back from the brink of going to a scrap heap for somebody else to enjoy it, not just for me to make a load of money on it. So that is done. I'm happy that I have covered all of that off, and I'm going to be ringing the MOT station in a minute to book it in, because after sitting here staring at the exhaust for a little bit, I actually unhooked it, dropped it all down. As much as it's had a couple of repairs, they're not actually that bad. I'll explain, because there are two small repairs just on the actual pipe part of it. It's one of those little like kind of foil wraparound repairs. It doesn't look too bad behind it anyway, and that will absolutely suffice. And the one repair that did look terrible was the one on the actual silencer itself. And I'll be honest with you, it was just a messy job. When I actually pulled the patch off, the hole is about this big and the rust doesn't even extend very far at all. So I've wire brushed the heck out of it, and I've actually made a decent repair. So I've got some proper stuff to do it. Got a little patch, and I'm just going to fix it, and then I've sprayed most of this section anyway with heat paint, just to make it look a little bit better. And I'll fix it like that. I will mention it in the ad when I put it up for sale that it's going to need a new exhaust at some point. But chances are, especially with the places I'm going to advertise this on the groups and forums, etc., somebody's probably going to buy this, and they're probably going to put an exhaust system on it, because everyone does, because they sound great when they've got an exhaust system on it. So I didn't want to waste money, time, and effort yanking this old exhaust off and then putting a completely bog standard one on there, only for it to be pulled off at a later date. So I've saved this one. I've just cleaned some of the rust off the tip of it, because again, that was looking a bit naff. I've just put a bit of oil polish on there just to stop it rusting too quick, just to make it look a little bit nicer. So that's it. I am calling this done. Unless anything gets picked up in the MOT, I'm going to give it a little run, check over, make sure the oil and everything's okay. I've already done that anyway. So join me on the morning of the MOT. Or maybe I'll just do it straight after the MOT. I don't know. It's a surprise for me and you of which order I'm going to do this in. So either way, I'll see you then. I suppose I probably should show the exhaust, since I spoke about it enough. See what I mean? Just ground a little bit of rust off there. Painted all this black just to make it a little bit better. And although it doesn't look it, I promise you this repair is significantly better than the old one. So I've sealed it all the way underneath, all the way around the outside with proper stuff. And I've painted over the top of it again. So again, that is going to last considerably better. Actually, you can see now the beam and everything with the lanyard guard. And as I said before, you can see where it's all soaked in. And it's just put that barrier over all that horrible rust. It's the morning of the MOT. I've dropped it off. And as a man that's got a bit of a reputation at that garage for dropping off random Fiats in all sorts of states of either being fixed, modified, and such forth, I haven't got a great track record for my cars past MOT first time. Don't really know why. I do know why, because I send them cars that I've built together usually fairly quickly. But this one, I guaranteed them will pass first time, which they laugh. So I'm hoping I prove them wrong, because I would love for it to fly straight through, and I get a call shortly to say, it's as nice as you said. But either way, while that's off doing that, I think it's time I give the garage a bit of a tidy, because it is getting in a bit of a state of disrepair with all the random projects I've been doing recently. So you don't need to see that, but I may show you what it looks like after I've tidied up, if it's worth it. But otherwise, it will just be good for my own mentality to get this place a little bit ship shape. But either way, I'll report back as soon as I get the call. It failed. I'm not surprised, if I'm entirely honest, because I don't think I've ever had a car go straight way through, but you'll be glad to know that one of the things was, I'm always expecting one of these. The handbrake's rubbish. They're all rubbish. I don't care what anyone says. They suck. So I'm going to have to work out why the handbrake's not very good. I think it's actually all right, but I'm probably just used to them being terrible. And there's a coil spring. It's got a fracture in it. Fracture or crack. So one of the springs is busted. Did not see that coming. Didn't knock. Didn't hear anything on the way there. So either I'm just going to buy one new one. I don't really like replacing one of them. I'll see if someone's got a cheap set of lowering springs potentially to put on it. And I'll just do all four. Either way, I'll sort that out. Handbrake, you will see in a minute I've got the car in backwards. So again, I might not take you through any of that stuff. I'll jack it up, make sure everything looks loose. Might be the arms have got a bit stiff from being sat still. And then after that, advisories. Nothing too nuts. One of the fog lights doesn't work. I'll stick a bulb in it. It says oil leak. But I'm pretty certain I fixed it. So I think I just need to wash off the bottom of the engine, because obviously it might still be dripping old oil from there, because it was a rocker seal, as you would have seen me do. Exhaust has a minor leak. We all knew that was going to happen. The rear shocks are slightly corroded. We all knew that as well, because I sprayed them. And then all of the tyres are old, as in they're not dangerous, or they've not been marked as, they're just advisories, because because they're getting slightly perished because they've been sat for a while now. Not too sure what to do about that. I'll go buy the coil spring or whatever version of that I get, and then we'll jump into the rear brakes, see what the heck is going on. But either way, another car, another MOT, another fail. And I'm talking to you from the future, because I haven't bothered showing you all the fixes and stuff like that, because I thought it'd be a little bit boring, and this episode's going on for a little while now. So I'm currently sat inside a 2001 Seicento with a fresh MOT. All of my fixes worked, it passed, it was great. It actually wasn't that much effort in the end. I fitted new coil springs on the front, never had to fit a standard set of height ones before. I've always put lowered springs on my car, so I actually get a mate to compress them in. I could not get them to compress in enough with my clamps. So that's done. It rides pretty much exactly the same, no different whatsoever. I adjusted the handbrake, I loosened the arms. Handbrake was peachy when I took it back. Before they did the MOT retest though, they did quickly look at the brakes and said my rear brakes were still rubbish. And it turns out one of my cylinders was completely seized up. So I fitted a new wheel cylinder, just bled the brakes. The other one I actually loosened up. Only one side of the cylinder was a little bit stuck, and as soon as I gave it a little tap, it was fine. So it's done. A couple of advisories left, but as I took you through those, nothing big. Somebody may put wheels on this anyway and change all the tyres. So I drove it back, very happy with myself, and it's currently up for sale on a few locations actually, Facebook Marketplace and Cars and Classics for the pricely sum of £1,700. So have a little look. If this sort of car interests you, then it is up for grabs. In the next episode, when I go on to doing something else, I will briefly touch on how much I spent on the car, how much all the repairs cost, and how much I got for it, and what that means as far as my budget and the next worn-out wagon. But anyway, thanks for stopping by on this second part and pretty much final part of the Seicento saving, buying, fixing and selling episode. If you like this kind of thing, let me know. I don't want to do too many of these because I kind of like doing cars I'm going to keep. But if you enjoy it, I'll make sure I show you it the next time I do it. But either way, don't be afraid to go out there and buy one of those cars that's broke. Take a risk. Calculate whether you think you can do it. Save yourself some money getting something cool or making some profit. Anyway, until the next episode, I will see you then.